All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this Boudoir photography business. We're going to see if it has BSS for its local search, Naperville, Iowa, or for its city search, Naperville, Illinois, and its city search, Chicago, Illinois. All right, so we're in the GBC universe, taking declining boudoir photographers to the number one boudoir photographer in their city. And our North Star, as always, is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we're rising, that means we're attracting, we're bringing in people across the entire intent ladder, high intent to low intent. If we're falling, we're missing peeps somewhere along the intent ladder. We're not successfully bringing them in, or even making them aware we exist. So BSS, focusing here on this, this profile, this brand, focusing on the highest intent buyers searching right now for boudoir photo shoots right in their city, social search and Google search. Then our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, focusing on BLCS. Right now we're only working with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. And that's actually going to be the lowest intent people, in any location, but it's going to have the highest number of them. All right, so BSS is Boudoir Search Sameness. That is when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And as a result, if we got 0 slots, we're basically dead, kind of dead in the water for on page 2 or deeper. And that's because we already know that approximately 80% of Google searches are page 1 only Google searches. So they never even go to page 2. So we care about this 80% cohort. This is the bulk of the market. So if we're in 0 slots on page 1, we're invisible to them because they ain't clicking any page deeper at all. Now, if we got 1 slot on page 1, it's also as boudoir search sameness because we're looking the same as every other boudoir photographer. Everyone else on page 1's got most likely 1 link. So anyone going down the Google search, they're clicking us, they're clicking first link, second link, third link, all 10 links, opening up everyone, contacting everyone, getting a quote from everyone, price shopping everyone. And so boudoir search sameness, not good for us. Now 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is actually not normal, extremely common, but to have that few number of slots page 1 of Google is not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are 1, which many people know about, which is market saturation, and 2, which basically nobody knows about, is the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, it's when someone gets a new iPhone, all of a sudden they're throwing up, Google My Business profile, Google My Business profile, basically increasing and throwing up their website, competing more for page 1 dominance, or they get a new camera, then they start posting them on Facebook groups. So basically they're increasing the supply of boudoir photographers where the number of buyers in the market remains fixed, which means it's making it harder for every current boudoir photographer to get clients. A big tsunami when that happened was when we had COVID. So when we had COVID, massive, when people lost their jobs, they still need to earn an income. So a lot of them came out as boudoir photographers, saturating the market, making it harder for all the current sellers. Now, the second deeper root cause is the false belief of page 1 equality. This is what I've seen is the number 1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. It's basically kind of this false belief is assuming that every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And, as a result, we, if you got 1 slot, okay, got 1 slot on page 1 and get some more market saturation. All right, we're pushed down onto, basically we're pushed on to, page 2, but that's fine because every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1. So I guess it's not my time anymore. Hopefully they, they shut down their website. So maybe I got a chance to go back on page 1. But no, that is 100% incorrect. Google actually wants to give as many page one slots to the boudoir photographer that wants as many as they'll put in the effort to acquire. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page one on Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page one on Google in only 10 days. And so I know for a fact Google will give the slots to those who truly want them. Now, boudoir photographer with BSS, boudoir search sameness, is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Because yeah, dude, basically we're either got 0 slots on page one, so on page 2 or deeper. And again, approximately 80% of searchers. The bulk of the market ain't never going to see us because they're page one only. And then for 1 slot on page one, we don't stand out. We're not different. We're being price shopped against everyone who also has, 1 slot on page one. So what's the solution? We got the solution. BSS is treated with social search saturation, S-cubed methodology. We know this is a solution because we invented it. Again, this is what I used to go from 0 out of 10 slots on page one to 9 out of 10 slots on page one in 10 days, Google page one search. And this is actually the only solution I've seen that can successfully fight back against market saturation. Basically, we saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, so we show up there. And once we saturate there, the outcome is actually that flows into those results actually flow onto Google page one, or Google. And if we get enough signals, obviously that puts us a higher chance Google puts us at Google page one. So the S-cubed methodology, to use it, we have to accept page one equality as a false belief, which kind of breaks that brain barrier to, okay, what's the solution we can use? S-cubed methodology. And it's the only thing that I've seen that actually can successfully fight back against market saturation for boudoir photographers, because imagine we're in San Jose, California. It's a million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got a website. We're one of the boudoir photographers. Everyone's trying to be ranked page one Google, but we employ S-cubed methodology to the max, where we're taking up the first 300 slots for social search on all the platforms for our highest intent buyer keywords, which then flows onto Google. And let's say we're the first 300 slots on Google for our highest intent keywords as well. Well, that means literally the first 30 pages is filled up with only us on Google organic search. And so when we have that, buyers got to go to page 31 to essentially find any other competitors, and no one's going to page 31. So buyers can essentially only find us. So even if there's max a ton of boudoir photographers, market gets more and more saturated, we stay dominating page one, which is actually where the bulk of searches stop. 80% of them, approximately 80% of them. So whose business is growing? Our business is growing. Whose business is disappearing? Everyone else. Even though the market's super saturated. Now, once you're with S-cubed methodology, we have page one visibility. Page one visibility is getting at least 2 out of 10 slots on page one, where we're actually looking different. We do have a GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 though, 3 slots out of 10 slots. And once we actually achieve that, we get an extra bonus, which is for every new slot we take up on page one, we're actually kicking competing boudoir photographers off page one, effectively making them invisible. So this is kind of an extra bonus of ranking on page one, is we're actually kicking a competitor off page one, and we already know approximately 80% of searchers never even go to page two. So we effectively make our competitors invisible. But we do want to hit the GBC minimum of at least 3 out of 10. Now, page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So we don't have 0 out of 1. We, 0 slots on page one. We don't have 1 slot on page one. We do not have 2 slots on page one. Well, 2 slots on page one means we don't have BSS, but that means we have not hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page one. And we want to hit that because we actually Yeah, if we got 3 out of 10 on page one, we're kicking 2 competitors off, or maybe even 3. Also, we're going to look way more visible than simply having the people with 1 link. And very rarely will there be someone else with two links, but we'll look even better than them as well. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer. So we got to get visible. So this is our universe here. We got disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by kind of the dual horns of market saturation and page 1 equality, the false belief of page 1 equality. And we achieve, or we utilize S-cube methodology. That's our solution. We achieve page 1 visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. So my results using this is my own S-cubed methodology for myself. I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So came in here, gonna look at the organic, and got organic slot 1, Instagram, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4, slot 5, slot 6, slot 7, slot 8, and slot 10. But we got 9 out of 10 slots on Google here, simply from utilizing our S-cubed methodology. And this went from 0 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 in 10 days. All right, now into the main event here. We're going to see this boudoir photography business, if they got BSS for either their local search of Naperville, Illinois, or their city search of Chicago, Illinois. So, all right, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got cooking. So we're in Naperville first. So, boom, we got one. We got 1 slot. Boom, we got 2 slots. All right, nice. So for local search, we do not have BSS boudoir search sameness. We got 2 out of 10 slots, but we did not meet the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google. Next, let's go look at city search Chicago. Super competitive here. So let's see. All right, we want to see how many slots we got here. All right, we actually got 0 out of 10 slots for the city search. I mean, Chicago's super competitive, so no surprises there. So no BSS for local, yes BSS for city search, but for both local and city search, we did not meet the GBC recommended of 3 out of 10 slots in Google page 1 search. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer with BSS boudoir search sameness at either the local or the city level, meaning either got 0 or 1 or 1 out of or 1 slot on page 1 on Google, and you're seeing the market's simply going to get more and more saturated. It seems like a new boudoir photographers remember joining every single week about. And also you're seeing with AI that, man, a ton of people are going to be losing their jobs more and more into the future. And the last time that happened, COVID, there was an explosion of boudoir photographers. So you've decided that, hey, you need to prepare for AI, pushing more, increasing the supply of boudoir photographers, then competing for the same number of buyers in the market. And you've decided, well, page 1 Google search, dominating that seems to be the best way with the highest intent keywords, which flows from dominating page 1 search of Facebook search, TikTok search, Instagram search, and YouTube search for those same highest intent keywords. Google's just a byproduct of that. Google's the end result. But you want to dominate on Google, so you realize with S-cubed methodology, you got to dominate on social search first as well, which kind of hits 2 birds with 1 stone. So you're seeing market's going to get more and more saturated. You've realized, especially looking at this picture, that page 1 equality is a false belief. Having 0, 1 slots on page 1, false belief. That's simply normal. It's not. And that we can actually take as many page 1 slots as we want to put in the effort for. And you're seeing that S-cubed methodology is the best way to do that. To achieve page 1 visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, and achieve page 1 visibility. or Boudoir search visibility. And also, the back end, literally the back end extra bonuses from doing this S cubed methodology, which would be your business, your brand name is more tightened around these highest intent keywords, which means higher chance we show up in Google AI overview at the top of the search, higher chance we get featured in AI search for ChatGPT search, Claude search, whatever, Perplexity search, Microsoft Copilot search, Google Gemini search, because all these bundling of this history, this kind of momentum around these highest intent keywords. And AI search is going to become more and more prominent. And last time I looked at AI search, it only gave 3 for a whole city. It gave 3 boudoir photographers. And so these are extra bonus things on the back end of doing S cubed methodology. There's literally no downside to S cubed methodology. It's like 5, 6 different upsides, upshots. And you're also seeing if someone else does it in your city before you, they're building up momentum for all these things. And you would, if we're already working with someone else, you'd have to do S cubed methodology on your own. Figure out how to do it and implement it, and then sustain and actually do double the competitor in your city to catch back up and exceed them. So, if you decided, hey, you gotta get rolling on this because you see what's gonna come happening. AI search has become more prevalent, and you decided, hey, this is the path forward, S cubed methodology. Then shoot us a DM. We are not doing new patient intake right now. Hospital's closed, but when we do new patient intake, we will open our DMs. And so no, you cannot DM us right now. DMs are closed. But when we do open for new patient intake, shoot us a DM and we will see if you qualify for S cubed methodology in your city. We also got to check, if we're already working with someone in your city right now, then we cannot work with you. And we got some other things we look at as well if we do have a slot open. But shoot us a DM at the time. We'll see if you qualify.